To start us off, here's a quick look at our agenda for today. So I will first give a brief introduction to the MarketLink program and share a little bit about our history and our recent new transition to a new nonprofit. Next, I will go into what our grant covers and commonly asked questions about our grant program. Then we will move on to discuss the SNAP application and authorization process, including commonly asked questions about responsible officials, how to maintain your SNAP authorization, and an overview of the SNAP reauthorization process. And again, we'll wrap up with any questions you have. So to start us off, here's a little history about MarketLink. MarketLink was originally founded in 2013 as a program of the National Association of Farmers Market Nutrition Programs. We were funded by a USDA grant that was created to specifically help farms and farmers markets accept SNAP EBT. From our founding in 2013 up until 2024, in addition to being under the National Association of Farmers Market Nutrition Programs, we were also partnered with a company called Novadia Group. This company developed the app technology called Total Pay Go, which was and still is the equipment we provide through our grant for farmers and markets to accept SNAP EBT. Fast forward to 2025, last year, we became independent by forming our own nonprofit called the Farmers Food Assistance Bureau, or FFAB for short. FFAB was created with the mission of simplifying financial transactions and improving access to all food and federal nutrition benefit programs. Through this transition, Novadia Group donated the Total Pay Go technology to the Farmers Food Assistance Bureau and has since dissolved as a company. But the great news about all this is this transition has given us a lot more freedom to improve the Total Pay Go technology so that it works the best that it can for farms and farmers markets. That all being said, we are still funded by USDA grants, and our funding covers equipment for in-person SNAP transactions, and we have funding for SNAP online transactions. Like I mentioned, the SNAP equipment funding provides equipment through Total Pay Go, but our SNAP online funding covers online processing through our partnerships with Grown by the e-commerce provider and the payment processor WorldPay FIS. So to end this section about us, here's a review of all our current active projects. The first one that I mentioned already is the SNAP equipment grant. This is available nationwide. It is available to both farms and farmers markets. This is the grant I will go more in detail in the next few slides today. Our SNAP Online grant is also available nationwide, but this is only available to farmers. So I won't be going into details about this grant today, as I imagine we mostly have farmers markets joining us. But of course, if you have questions about this grant, want to know more, you can always reach out to me after this meeting. And then lastly, our other project we have is that we're working with various states to help with the rollout of electronic options for WIC, senior FMP, and incentive programs through what is called our TIM system. This is also available through Total Pay Go. So again, complying with our mission, we're trying to make all federal nutrition benefits more accessible to farms and farmers markets. We currently have an EWIC program in Indiana, but we are actively working to partner with additional states as these programs develop. All right, so that brings us to our first main topic, where I'll go more commonly asked questions we get about the MarketLink grant. So as you can imagine, the first one we often get is my business eligible? So to answer this question, I'll review the requirements. The main requirements of eligibility are your business type and whether or not you utilized a grant program, our grant program already. So first, the business types that are eligible are direct marketing farmers and farmers markets based on how the USDA defines those businesses. So the USDA defines a direct marketing farmer as an individual producer of agricultural products that sell directly to the public. Additionally, at least 50% of your total retail sales must come from products you grew or raised yourself versus buying from other vendors to resell. The USDA defines a farmer's market as two or more farmers coming together to sell their own agricultural products at a fixed location. The businesses that would not be eligible would be anyone, of course, who doesn't meet those definitions, but also any farm or farmer's market that has utilized our grant program during this grant period. Good news is we're in a new grant period, so basically if it was after October 2025, you wouldn't be eligible. But anyone who got equipment before then is eligible to reapply again. The reason for this is because we can only provide one equipment setup per business per grant period. But again, if you're ever unsure, you could always reach out to us ahead of time before applying, and we can help you determine if you're eligible before you officially apply. On to our next commonly asked question is, what does the grant cover? So our grant covers one-on-one assistance through the SNAP application process. It covers a free Bluetooth card reader and a 1-year subscription to the Total Paygo app. It also covers what's called our printer waiver, which refers to a waiver that was written specifically into our grant. That means if you're using our grant-funded equipment, you do not have to provide you do not need to provide a printed receipt to your SNAP customers, because the Total Paygo app has the option to provide a text or emailed receipt instead. It also shows the receipt on screen, and sometimes they just want to look at their balance, and that is usually enough for the customers at that time. This, of course, saves money on needing to buy printer paper or needing to buy a printer. If you get equipment through our grant, we can also help train you and guide you through setting it up. And lastly, whether or not you're eligible, we're here to answer any questions about the SNAP program, regardless of eligibility, because all of our time and technical assistance is covered under our grant funding. So we'll never turn anyone away just for asking questions. So to go a little bit more in depth into the first point I mentioned, we offer one-on-one assistance through the SNAP application process for farms and farmers markets. And we provide that support in two main ways. The first option is you can fill it out on your own using our instructional guides that we created that walk you through step by step. So you would use this guide to create your own login, submit your application, and supporting documents on your own. But these guides, of course, have our contact information in them. So if you get stuck or have questions, you can reach out for us at any time during the application process. The next option we have is we can actually submit the application on your behalf. So how this works is you would book an appointment with us. During that time, we would gather your application information. We would then submit it to the USDA and submit your supporting documents on your behalf. The main benefit of this option is it allows us to double check it for you, make sure everything's filled out correctly, and then keep an eye on things as they move along the process. Next, I'll go a little bit more detail into the equipment we provide. So as I mentioned, we provide a subscription to the app called Total Paygo, pictured here on the slide, and a Bluetooth card reader that is free and yours to keep. You would download this app on your own smart device that you would like to use, as that is the one piece we cannot provide. But during your grant year, the subscription is covered, and while using Total Paygo, there are never going to be any transaction fees for using SNAP EBT. Our grant now also includes an incentive where if you do $500 in SNAP sales, we then will cover your next year. And we hope to offer this incentive for as long as we have grant funding. We found that this incentive helps farmers markets the most, as they typically can meet this pretty easily by offering a market-wide SNAP program. That being said, though, if you don't meet the $500, but you want to keep using the Total Paygo app, you would need to pay for the subscription on your own. And the cost is $191 a year or $19.95 a month if your market is open seasonally. But you still will have no transaction fees for SNAP EBT, and the Bluetooth card reader, you don't need to send back, it's yours to keep. And if you don't meet the incentive that first year and you pay for it, but then you meet it the next year, then we would cover the next year. So hopefully as your SNAP program grows, you get more close to meeting that $500 incentive. So if anyone's interested in getting started, again, if they're new to the program, here's the basic steps. You first fill out the eligibility assessment on our website. This is mainly to determine if you're eligible, but it also gets you connected to a regional specialist, such as myself or my wonderful colleagues, who will be your contact person to walk you through the entire process. From there, we can help you get SNAP authorized if you're not approved already. Next, we will help get you set up with a Total Paygo account through our grant. And then lastly, your card reader ships, and you'll be ready to start accepting SNAP. So that brings us to our next main topic / question. For those who have received the grant or not, in general, who can they contact given these certain situations or topics, I should say. So first to, again, quickly review, probably going to mention this every slide. You can reach out to us first if you'd like. In general, we can point you in the right direction, even if we don't know the immediate answer. But mostly we're here to answer any questions about the grant, any questions about SNAP authorization or the application process. But you can also reach out to us with non-urgent Total Paygo questions. As the keepers of this technology, we, of course, are becoming more and more knowledgeable on the ins and outs of different situations. But for Total Paygo users, if it's an urgent question, Total Paygo does have their own customer support center that is available Monday through Saturday, 5:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Central Time. So hopefully that covers all the market hours. But they can also be reached by email. In addition to the call center and email, they also have a free online support center database where you can usually search your question and find the answers there. So next on to SNAP and incentive programs. Again, you can reach out to us first if you kind of want us to vet your question or make sure you're on the right track. But there are some situations in when you would need to reach out to the USDA directly. And these situations mainly include if it's a question about an already submitted application or you need to make changes to your market's authorization after becoming SNAP authorized. The reason for this is because USDA will only speak to the responsible official, meaning the person listed on your SNAP authorization. So these are cases where we could not reach out to you, reach out to the USDA on your behalf. But this is where reaching out to us first kind of comes in handy. We can help you figure out what you need to ask and what you need to say when you do reach out to the USDA. And then lastly, just on the SNAP USDA side of things, there aren't many cases where you would need to reach out to your local food and nutrition office, which is under the USDA. But something we've seen in the last year is that state waivers are becoming more common. For those who haven't heard of those yet, waivers are waivers that individual states are now writing into their SNAP program that restricts certain foods for SNAP customers can buy. Most commonly, we've seen these are just for sugary drinks, so hopefully they're not going to affect farms and farmers markets yet, but this may be a case where you'd want to reach out to your local state office to make sure you're keeping up with all the latest waiver updates and things going on specifically in your state. So next on to incentives. In most cases, you should reach out to whoever is funding your incentive program if you're funded by a grant. But if you run your own incentive program, this is a case where we look to the expertise of other nonprofits as we are not administrators of incentive programs. Again, we try our best to keep up with the rules and regulations. If you want to try to reach out to us first, we can do some research on certain questions, but we generally refer folks to the Nutrition Incentive Hub or the Farmers Market Coalition for their expertise on the ins and outs of incentive programs. This may also be a case where reaching out to your local FNS office may be a place to start as well. All right, so to end our section on commonly asked MarketLink grant questions, another one we've been getting more and more lately is if either the MarketLink grant or the total pay funding is at risk at all of being dismantled. So starting with MarketLink, I of course need to give the caveat that unfortunately, nothing is certain these days. As we've seen, things are changing very rapidly. But the good news is, I briefly mentioned this earlier, but just to confirm again, we were just renewed. So our grant was renewed in October 2025, which means we've secured funding at least until October 2028. But of course, we're trying to stay on top of things, and we are proactively trying to diversify our funding sources so that we're not so reliant on federal grants. On the total pay-go side of things, the more good news about this transition is it's allowed us to have additional funding streams through the retailer side of total pay-go. So the grant covers farms and farmers markets where retailers actually purchase the total pay-go subscription and equipment themselves. So if our grants were to go away, in theory, the retail side would keep us going. This may bring some changes to farms and farmers markets needing to pay for the grant, or pay for the equipment where before it was covered by the grant. But the good news is it's not going to go away completely. Total pay-go would still be available. And of course, this is what we don't want to happen, but all right. So that brings us to our second main topic, which is questions about the SNAP application and authorization process. And we're going to start by talking about the responsible official. So I briefly mentioned this earlier, but this is the person who is taking responsibility for your market's SNAP program. This is also going to be the person who will handle all the situations I'll talk about in the following slides. So we're going to start with them first. So the first question is, who should the responsible official for a farm or a market be? So this is mostly for folks who are not SNAP authorized yet. And the answer is it depends, but generally it needs to be someone with the legal authority to sign legal documents on behalf of the business. This can depend on how your market is structured, but generally this person is the owner, manager, or executive director of a farm or market. To quickly go into more details for farmers markets, for nonprofits, this person needs to be the executive director or a board member. If you're an LLC, it should be all officers listed on the LLC paperwork. If you're a corporation, again, it's the executive director. And for sole proprietorships or partnerships, it's the owner and the partners for the business. So next, if you're already SNAP authorized and you're not sure who your responsible official is, how would you find out who that person is? So there's a couple ways. The first is you can refer to the original SNAP application if you saved it when you originally applied. Next is you can refer to your SNAP permit, again, if you saved it and have it on file. If you don't have either of those, you can reach out to us, as we do have a list of approved farms and farmers markets from the USDA that has mostly everyone in it. And this does include the name and contact of the responsible official. So this is a case where you could reach out to us as well. The next question is if you can add any responsible officials. And the answer is yes. During the application process, it's a lot easier and pretty straightforward. You, of course, can just add them on the application when you're applying, as long as the person who needs to be the responsible official is also listed. You can add an additional person. If you've already applied, but you're still in the review process, you can reach out to the SNAP Retailer Service Center to see if they can add someone in, or if your application is already assigned to a program specialist, you can reach out to them directly to have them add them in. If you're not in the application process and you're already authorized, you can add a responsible official again in a couple ways. The current responsible official can reach out to the program specialist who originally approved your application if you save their contact information. If not, you can call the SNAP Retailer Service Center and ask for a callback from a supervisor to see if they can add someone in. Next is what happens if your responsible official changes, if they leave the organization or are not available for any reason. So again, this can depend on your ownership type and if you have more than one responsible official listed. So if you're a 501c3 nonprofit, you can have the leaving responsible official call the USDA or program specialist to see if they can change the responsible official. For all other ownership types, you can try to call the USDA as well, but they tend to be a little bit more lenient on profits, so they may tell you need to reapply. This is where it also sometimes helps to have more than one responsible official, because if one responsible official is still staying, they may not have you reapply as long as one or more people is still with the organization. However, if no responsible officials are available at all, unfortunately, the only way you can update this information is by reapplying, because like I mentioned, the USDA will only talk to the responsible official. So if they're not available, the only way to make an update is to reapply. All right, on to how to maintain your SNAP authorization, which again is the main role of the responsible official that we just reviewed. So to start us off, here's some general tips and documents, tips on documents and information you want to save during your application or locate after the fact if you didn't save it at the time. But we recommend saving a copy of your original application, the email that states that you were approved, the contact information of the program specialist who approved you, and lastly, a copy of your SNAP permit in both a digital and physical copy. It's also advised to keep your SNAP permit on hand at the market, but it should not be posted publicly as this is considered like private information, but it's good to keep it on hand. And then another tip is to process SNAP transactions at least once per year. The reason being is because the USDA has what's called the non-redeemer list, which is a list of businesses that have not processed a SNAP transaction for more than 1 year. Occasionally, they will remove authorizations from folks on this list. This, unfortunately, is becoming more common, so we've been doing our best to remind folks that, if possible, process a transaction at least once per year. So after those tips, you may be wondering, how can I find my SNAP permit if you've misplaced it? So to get a new one, you can have the responsible official call the SNAP Retailer Service Center to request a new one, and they will have them mail them out. And for reference, here's what a SNAP permit looks like, and the important information that I mentioned you can find on it, such as your FNS number, your authorization date, your responsible official, and your location and mailing address. All right, so on the note of information listed on your permit, our next topic is making sure that you keep all the information on your permit up to date with the USDA. Not only is this helpful if they need to contact you, but this also keeps you compliant with SNAP regulations. So we've already briefly discussed how to update your responsible official, but if you need to update your mailing address or email or phone contact, you can have your responsible official call the SNAP Retailer Service Center and have them update it for you. Where it gets more tricky is if your farm or market is changing locations. You would need to also notify the USDA. These are cases where it's sometimes worth trying to call the SNAP Retailer Service Center or program specialist who approved you first, but often they may tell you need to reapply. The unfortunate thing about this is while you are reapplying, you will lose access to your SNAP authorization. So we recommend if you do need to do this, do it during your slow or off season if possible. If you're a year-round market and there's kind of no way around that, just make sure you give your SNAP customers a heads up. And it's also helpful to have some of your vendors be SNAP approved themselves. So encouraging your vendors to become individually SNAP authorized is always a good idea. That way your SNAP customers have at least a couple booths to shop at in the meantime. Another tip is if you need to reapply, we recommend putting your old FNS number in the additional comment section and letting the USDA know that you are just reapplying because you moved locations. This sometimes can help things go a little smoother. And then lastly, another thing to keep in mind on maintaining your SNAP authorization is making sure that you're following the rules and the regulations of the program. So we often get asked what training resources are available. So the first one comes from the USDA when you're SNAP authorized. They send you a packet in the mail that covers all the rules and regulations of the program. But if you no longer have the physical copy, this is also available online on their website. They have a training resources website that not only includes that packet, but also additional like flyers and videos on how to make sure you're on these videos, they call them cashiers, but in this case, info booth employee or vendors are following the program rules correctly. That being said, the USDA resources unfortunately don't really go into depth about how it works at farms and farmers markets. But again, we look to other nonprofits for their guidance because they've created a lot of wonderful guides that go really into details on how to process SNAP at a farm or a farmer's market. I've listed them here, but I can send direct links to them either in the chat later or in a follow-up email after this meeting. Okay, so our next kind of main topic on maintaining your SNAP authorization is the official reauthorization process. This process can feel intimidating, but if you're prepared, it can go smoothly. And again, we are here to help. So how often does this happen? Once you're SNAP approved, your authorization is usually good for 5 years. And around that time, the USDA will contact you at the contact information you listed on your original application with instructions on how to reauthorize. So they usually send a letter first. And if you don't respond to the letter, they then send a follow-up email. This is, of course, again, why it's good practice to keep your contact information up to date so that you don't miss this. But this email and letter will include a link and login information to access the reauthorization portal website. They give you 30 days to respond, and if you miss it, then you would need to reapply. But hopefully, again, you're keeping everything up to date, you don't miss it, and you use that information to access the reauthorization website. And from there, you follow the prompts to confirm and occasionally update your information. Then you send it in, and it goes back to the USDA, where they will assign a program specialist who will handle your reauthorization. From there, they may request additional information or may request a site visit. Once everything is submitted and completed, the program specialist will complete your authorization, and you may get an email notice letting you know it's complete. But if you don't get that, we just recommend you follow up with them about each week until you get confirmation that it went through. You can also call the SNAP Retailer Service Center to make sure that it went through. They will also not send you a new SNAP permit, so you would need to reach out to them to request an updated one for that as well. So the good news on reauthorization, instead of like when you need to reapply to change locations, if you're going through the official reauthorization process, you will not experience a lapse in service. Your SNAP authorization will remain active while you are under reauthorization. However, we do recommend saving all correspondence with the USDA during the reauthorization process. This is helpful if you do need to reach out to us with questions or support through the process. But on the flip side, like I briefly mentioned, if you miss the reauthorization notice, they will shut off your authorization and you need to reapply. But just as if you were to move locations, we recommend putting your old FNS number in the additional comments. And this sometimes can help the process go a little smoother. All right, so to end my presentation today, the last thing I'll cover is just kind of general updates and observations we've made about the USDA and our recommendations for each scenario. So the first update we have is that the SNAP applications are requiring more documents. We've also noticed that after you're submitting your application, requests for more information are becoming much more common. To keep up with these updates, we have updated our own SNAP authorization guides that now cover the additional documents needed and what to look out for additional information requests. So again, I can send those in a follow-up email after this webinar. And again, broken record, we're still here to help you through any point of the process, so it goes smoothly. The next update is that site visits are becoming more common. Site visits are when the USDA sends a representative out to make sure that you are following the rules of the SNAP program and that you're eligible for the SNAP program. To help with this, we've created an additional guide that covers when these happen, how to prepare for them, and what to expect during a visit. Another change we've noticed is that the USDA has lost some staff due to staff cuts or the employees leaving voluntarily. So this means that SNAP applications are taking longer than they used to. And our advice here is actually similar to what it has always been. We still recommend applying during your off or slow season, but giving yourself about 1 to 3 months of expectation of processing time. The staff cuts, unfortunately, also include some program specialists. So this means the person who originally approved your application may no longer be working there. This can be difficult because, of course, I've mentioned a few times now that this is the person who's helpful to reach out to if you need to make changes or have questions about your authorization. If this is the case for you, we instead recommend calling the SNAP Retailer Service Center and requesting a callback from a supervisor. On the note of staffing, we've also heard from folks that the SNAP Retailer Service Center has very long hold times. And our recommendation here is that we found it can be a little better if you call midweek and around when they open, which is 8 a.m. Eastern time, or closer to when they close, which is 8 o'clock Eastern time. So if you call around 7:30, hopefully that will give you a better chance of getting through to someone. All right, that is it for me. So we now have time for questions, but while we do that, I'm going to leave my contact information up on the screen in case you want to reach out to me after the fact instead, or yeah, if you just want it to have it handy. But thank you for listening all, and I will, yeah, check out the chat.